That must be the garden Mr. Warden was talking about. I must say, I never expected a botanical garden such as this to exist within the glass and steel confines of the Crystal Palace.
The initial inspiration for the Crystal Palace's design came from the greenhouse used for botanical gardens. Even during its earliest phases of development, Joseph Paxton was already planning on how best to preserve the Hyde Park Gardens within the Crystal Palace. After its completion, the garden naturally produced a unique and wonderful sight within the palace walls. Even today, after relocating here, the garden still retains its unique beauty. The garden's dense vegetation has since spread to the right corridor's gate, so there is no reason to lock it any longer.
The foliage is very dense, and the tree within has grown to reach the 3rd floor, a perfect place for concealing oneself. The bushes and undergrowth are too thick to traverse without cutting our way through. We have no way of exploring any further at this point.
Then what should we do? Sit here and wait for the phantom to show up again?
We're looking for someone in particular right now. Not the phantom. The warden claims that people live here, so there must be some sort of hidden path through the foliage. If we can locate that path, we'll find them.
A path? But I don't see anything that resembles a path.
With this. That's because you are not using my light-filtering eyeglasses.
Light-filtering eyeglasses?
This pair of eyeglasses has special built-in functions that allow them to filter light and magnify objects in their line of sight. By switching lenses, they can magnify the contrast between light and dark, and reveal even the smallest clues hidden in plain sight. There are traces of movement over here leading from the grass to the treetop, from here, to there, and finally, into the tree hollow over there.
What kind of path is that? It's just a hole in a tree. You're really dedicated to this bit, aren't you? Let me climb the tree hollow and take a look inside. What the hell is this? Mr. Warden, is that you?
Wait, what was that noise?
Huh? What in blazes is that thing? There are people inside the tree hollow.
Henshin, who are you two?
He is Orphans of the Hollow. Tattered cloak made from several flags stitched together, covered in moss and leaves that fall off with the slightest motion. They must have been living here quite some time. Even the moss began growing on them. Pardon the intrusion. I am a paranormal investigator, and I—
Take a look at this frog-head man, brothers. Why, he looks positively ludicrous.
Damn you.
Bloody hell, have you gone mad, brother? And after we've kept ourselves hidden for so many years.
Indeed, Mr. Warden is the only one who knows of us.
But I'm starving. It's been 2 whole days since Warden brought us something to eat.
3 brothers. Could it be? It is possible that you 3 are the phantom that the warden told us about.
A phantom, you say? Mr. Warden has been running up and down the corridors these last few days, muttering on about a phantom all the while, but we haven't had the chance to ask him about it.
Strange. Could these 3 really be the phantom? May I ask where you 3 have been these last 2 nights? Did any of you travel to the 4th floor of the left corridor?
What's it to you, Frogman? Why should we tell you anything?
Sod off, Frogman. You're trespassing on our property.
Indeed, we'll only speak to Mr. Warden, and no one else.
Fuck you.
Odd doesn't even begin to describe those 3.
Odd as they may be, I don't think they are our elusive phantom. Fooling others into believing they could split themselves up would be a simple task. Also, if they have been living in the botanical gardens all this time, they may know more about what happens within the Crystal Palace. A shame that they only cooperate with the warden. Mr. Warden, I saw those 3, people you mentioned before.
Ah, so you met the Orphans of the Hollow, did you? They've lived in that tree for as long as I can remember. I met them entirely by chance, just as you did.
What are the origins of the 3 brothers?
Those are the Orphans of the Hollow. Because of their physical deformity, they were abandoned as children in the hollow of a tree in the Crystal Palace.
I don't believe they are the phantom we're looking for.
Is that so? And you're certain?
Based on my deduction, few pieces of broken glass scattered around the glass wall where the phantom vanished into the night, indicating that the scene remained undisturbed. Precisely because there is no cleaning done and only broken glass. This contradicts the appearance of the 3 brothers. Whenever the 3 brothers go, they're bound to leave a trail of moss and leaves behind. But around the glass wall where the phantom disappeared, there are no such traces. The Orphans of the Hollow may have the same build, but they aren't the first phantom.
That makes sense, yeah. Thank goodness they aren't the phantom. Would you mind keeping this a secret, Mr. Investigator? The Orphans of the Hollow are my friends, and Duke White Raven has no idea that they've been living in the gardens all this time. If he ever found out, I'm certain he'd throw them out without a second thought.
Okay, no problem.
Or worse, he might throw them in a cage and make a spectacle out of them.
Ms. Lockhart, why are you staring at me like that?
The way you made your deductions just now was quite interesting, I must say. Tell me, what is this seahorse on your shoulder?
Oh, him? That's Mr. Dickens, my spokesperson.
Spokesperson? But isn't it just a loudspeaker? You whispered into a receiver on your glove, and your voice was transmitted to this seahorse-shaped speaker. What a peculiar way to avoid speaking on your own. You are quite an interesting person, Mr. Investigator.
I'll have you know, Mr. Dickens isn't just a loudspeaker, he's a recording device, as well.
You are quite an interesting person, Mr. Investigator.
Oh, how fun. He's like a little parrot.
He doesn't just mimic sound waves, either. He can even mimic radio waves. It was a suggestion from one of my seniors in the Ghost Club. You see, in our pursuit of the truth behind paranormal events, we often come across inexplicable phenomena. As such, paranormal investigators must maintain a certain level of respect for every step and every conclusion of their investigations. In other words, it's out of a sense of ceremony.
A sense of ceremony? That's why you need a spokesperson when you make your deductions. You're either nuttier than I previously thought or desperately lacking in self-confidence. Hello there, Mr. Dickens.
Just what manner of nonsense is this? The day is half over. I may regret asking, but have you discovered anything of importance, Mr. Investigator?
Should I tell him about the Orphans of the Hollow?
Lying might take things worse. Maybe we should.
Well, I haven't got all day.
Yes, Duke White Raven. We discovered that there is a person, no, 3 people, living in the botanical gardens of the Crystal Palace. They've been there for over a decade now, and they're only about half as tall as you or me, and they can split themselves up, and...
What? People living in the gardens for over 10 years, and I, the supervisor, am only hearing about this now. You must take me a fool, Mr. Investigator, if you expect me to believe such rubbish words living in the gardens. I can't only hope your next fairy tale will be more inspired.
You managed to fool him by telling him the truth. That was quite an impressive display.
You played a dangerous game, Mr. Inspector. Duke trusts no one's account but his own. Till he sees the 3 brothers for himself, he will never believe in their existence, much less threaten to throw them out. The Duke's been putting me through my paces ever since the Phantom appeared, so I haven't had time to visit them. Could you take this to them in my place?
Is this an apple on a stick?
Haha. I often bring food for the brothers, and all 3 of them are extremely fond of apples. Offer this apple as a sign of friendship, and best of luck. I can't go with you because I'm needed at the exhibition.
Okay, no problem.
I can smell it. It's an apple, the kind that Mr. Warden often brings us.
Well, they're easily satisfied, aren't they? All it took was an apple.
Any friend of Mr. Warden's is a friend of ours. What do you want to know?
How you knew the warden?
A long time ago, the warden came to hide a wild boar here in the gardens. That was when we first met.
A wild boar? Did the warden intend to keep it as a pet? Why would he want to hide a wild boar in the gardens?
Dunno.
But we helped him look after the boar for some time. Then, one day, he came and took it away. After that, he started bringing us food every so often, and reminding us to stay hidden all the time.
We've been living in the gardens all this time. We've never left, not even once. Not that we want to, anyway.
Never left, not even once.
Do you see that hole in the dome over there, above that shop on the left? We wanted to try jumping to it from the top of this tree.
I go up to the tallest branches all the time, only, they're not very sturdy, so jumping off them could be dangerous.
We tried going up as 3 one time, and the branches nearly snapped under our weight.
That's right, nearly snapped.
True, the combined weight of the 3 brothers should be roughly the same as that of a full-grown man.
Oh, right. There was one other person who wanted to climb up there before.
You saw someone else? When was this?
A few nights ago, I reckon. We were sleeping, when all of a sudden the sound of branches shaking and something hitting the ground woke us up.
A real hefty thud, it was. I would have shattered into a million pieces if I fell that hard.
But that person looked perfectly fine afterward. and when we went to take a closer look, there was no one around. Ran off without a word.
What were you three doing last night?
Sleeping, of course. Though we did get woken up again, we come out to take a look and we saw the warden and that bird-faced bloke walking around together, talking about a phantom of some sort. As soon as the warden saw us, he gave us the signal to hide, so we dove back into the bushes, and no one was the wiser to us.
Makes sense, since the warden doesn't want the Duke to find out about these three.
After they left, we climbed through that hole in the dome to see where the phantom showed up.
Wait, you actually managed to climb on the top of the dome. Then, what did you see?
Not exactly, no. We just looked around from the edge of the dome, near the hole. I would never climb on top of the dome, not with all those cracks. Besides, the dome is, well, a dome, and a slippery one. Climbing it is out of the question, but I did manage to find this. A broken firework.
The burn marks on this fireworks are strangely familiar. They look just like the ones on that bullet from before. A bullet, a fireworks, and a burst of light.
What's on your mind, Mr. Investigator?
I think I know the truth behind the Phantom's burst of light now. Based on my deduction, this bullet hit the Phantom. There are scorch marks on it. Fireworks have the same scorch marks as the bullet. The mystery of the Phantom's burst of light is obvious now. The warden's bullet hit the fireworks instead of the Phantom, causing the gunpowder to combust and erupt in a burst of light. This is the truth behind that burst of light. The warden's shot just so happened to strike this firework on the Phantom. The firework burst as soon as the bullet struck it, and the sound of the ensuing explosion covered the sound of the impact. The sound of the bullet striking something hard. Why was the Phantom carrying fireworks on top of the dome, I wonder? Wait a minute, didn't the manuscript from the wax exhibition mention something about fireworks in the Crystal Palace? Could that have something to do with this broken firework? And where did it come from?
If you're looking for answers about the fireworks, Fire Guy is the perfect place to start.
Great, but I want to uncover the truth after collecting all the evidence. We pay the shop a visit later. Where were you three last night and the night before?
Sleeping in our hollow. Of course, Mr. Warden and the others have been running all over the Crystal Palace, so we haven't had a chance to come out and stretch our legs.
Have you noticed anything else out of the ordinary?
Let me think. Hey, you seen anything strange lately?
I dunno. Hey, you seen anything strange lately?
I dunno. Hey, you seen anything strange lately?
I did, as a matter of fact.
Fuck you, just tell us already.
There was someone playing in the fountain 2 days ago. We heard the splashing all the way from over here. The fountain's part of our turf, you see. Usually, we're the only ones playing in it, but Mr. Warden says we're not allowed to be seen by other people. We were going to stop that person, actually.
Well, keep going.
Well, we saw that person throw something into the fountain. We haven't had a chance to see what it is, though. It's in that fountain over there, at the entrance to the gardens. Normally, we use it for drinking and bathing, not for storing things.
Wait, you three bathe in that fountain?
Oh my god!
There are water stains all around the fountain. It hasn't been run in ages. The water inside the fountain, however, is crystal clear. They said there's something inside the fountain, but I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Wait, there's something glimmering under the surface of the water. It's a mirror and some kind of triangular prism? Is something the matter, Ms. Lockhart?
It's nothing. Did you really fish out something from that fountain?
I did. It's a mirror and a triangular prism of some sort. Both of these items look fairly clean, with no signs of rust on either of them. The brothers were right. These haven't been sitting in the fountain for very long. The mirror's reflection overlaps with the light shining on the water's surface, so it wasn't noticeable. As for the prism, all I know is that they're usually used for light diffracting experiments, and not much else. You're much more quiet than usual, Ms. Lockhart. Would you like to take a closer look at the mirror?
Keep those things away from me. They were sitting in bath water for 2 days. They're bath water. And I always liked this fountain, too. I can't believe those 3 lunatics have been using it as a bathtub all along. If only I knew, I would never have touched that water.
Ms. Lockhart, where are you going? Is she a germaphobe? In any case, how are these 2 items related to the Phantom? Could someone else have left them here?
What did you find?
Just a regular mirror and a triangular prism.
It's shiny. A very shiny mirror. They've been moving lots of those back and forth in the left corridor lately.
The left corridor has mirrors? Wait, mirrors? That's it. What could Ms. Lockhart and the warden be discussing?
Indeed, so the phantom's ability to split itself up.
Yes, I see.
Ms. Lockhart, what are you talking about?
Oh, I was just asking more questions about the phantom and how it could split itself up.
Could you give us more details about when you first saw the phantom?
Sure, I was patrolling the left corridor that night. When I first saw it, the phantom appeared near the stage's curtains on the first floor. It looked as though it was about to turn around and go up the stairs behind the curtains. I was petrified. I turned around, and there, on the second floor of the left corridor, it appeared again. Once I came to my senses, I realized that all three figures had completely disappeared. I looked all around for about half a minute, but I saw no sign of the phantom or its doppelgangers. It wasn't until I looked at the glass wall on the fourth floor that I saw it again. But then it jumped and escaped.
The first and second floors on the right, and the second floor on the left.
Why not use your special metal detecting rods to take another look?
All right. I checked all three locations, but didn't find anything out of the ordinary.
I knew those rods of yours were useless.
In any case, Mr. Warden was standing here at the time and looked in that direction. But I don't see anything strange. What do these three locations have in common? There seem to be mirrors in all three locations. Wait, could it be? Mirrors. That's it. This mirror is quite wide, so it has a large angle of reflection. It's also pointed directly at the stage and its curtains. The mirror on the second floor is the same as the one on the first floor, and it's also pointing towards the stage. This one, as well. All of them are pointing in the same direction. That explains the mystery of the phantom splitting itself up. Based on my deduction, according to the warden's testimony, the phantom appeared once by the curtains of the central stage and has not appeared again since. There is only one thing that these three places have in common. There is a mirror in all three locations where the phantom appeared. All three mirrors happened to be facing the curtains of the central stage. The phantom looks like it could split itself up because it was reflected in three mirrors. After it fled to the curtains, its reflection was caught by the mirrors, making it seem as though multiple phantoms had manifested. Warden noticed the reflections on the mirrors from a certain angle during the pursuit, mistaking them for doppelgangers of the phantom. So naturally, when Mr. Warden saw the phantom's reflections at night, he mistakenly assumed that there was more than one phantom. The real phantom had just passed through the curtain and was making its escape through the passage behind the stage.
So that's what happened. I knew this splitting up part was too strange to be true. Your observations are quite astute, Mr. Dickens. As for our friend, the warden, leave it to Warden the Strange to run into another unlikely scenario.
But the real question is, why were all of these mirrors placed here to begin with? Do you happen to know who put them here?
I can't be sure, but I believe the Amethyst Duchess, owner of the Princess Choice jewelry store, was the one who had them placed here. She is in charge of the special exhibition in the left corridor later today. Her store is on the fourth floor of the left corridor.
Okay, we'll visit the jewelry store later. Then let's pay the toy shop and the fireworks shop a visit, shall we?
There is a toy shop on the second floor of the left corridor called Fun in a Box.
The toy shop's owner isn't here, but there is a note on the door. Owner is currently at the fireworks shop on the first floor. With regard to relocation details, please be patient until further notice. Where is the fireworks shop?
There's one on the first floor of the left corridor, yes. It's called Fire Guy. I don't think I've ever seen a single customer inside. What's with all the commotion?
Ugh, it's fine already, see?
Hey, I just finished adjusting that leg of yours, so knock that off. What have you been doing these last 2 days? Why is your leg having these issues?
Thanks again for your help.
Well, if your leg is working fine, I'll be returning to my toy shop now.
Why, it's been ages since I had a customer last time. Welcome to Fire Guy. I'm the owner of this shop, and you can call me Fireworks Guy.
He is Fireworks Guy. Carries fireworks all over his body. Has a uniquely crafted prosthetic leg. He carries a strange mask at his waist. Good day, sir. I'm an investigator in charge of the phantom sightings. Was that the owner of Fun in a Box?
Yes, she runs the toy shop upstairs. She's a very good friend of mine and an extremely interesting person.
I should ask the fireworks shop's owner about the springs and screws. I see. Could you please tell me if you've ever used these parts in your wares?
Not at all. I sell fireworks, you see? Not much use for springs and screws here. Although, Miss Toy Merchant who just left uses these all time in her products. See, she even used them to modify my prosthetic leg. Perhaps you can ask her about them?
May I take a closer look inside your shop?
It's not every day that a customer shows up. Come in and take a look at my wares. Come in, come in. We have all kinds of fireworks for sale.
His enthusiasm is quite infectious. May I ask what happened to your leg, Mr. Guy?
Oh, just a small accident, that's all. Nothing remarkable about it, I assure you.
What the heck? This is called a small accident? A small flaw? He's quite the optimist, isn't he?
Besides, ever since the toy merchant gave me this curious contraption, it has become something of a trademark for my humble shop.
This shop reminds me of that message from the wax exhibition manuscript. Pardon me, but do you know anything about this? It mentions something about fireworks in the Crystal Palace.
Not at all, and before you ask, no, this isn't my handwriting. The Duke made it perfectly clear long ago that setting off fireworks is strictly forbidden inside the Crystal Palace, even the smallest of noisemakers. How could I possibly go against the Duke's authority?
Where were you last night, Mr. Guy?
My prosthetic leg went bad, so I spent all day fixing it here in the shop, and I stayed until fairly late doing so, too.
Does that mean you were there when the Phantom appeared last night?
All I know is that there were some strange, garbled sounds outside, followed by a gunshot. But with my leg as damaged as it was, all I could do was slowly hobble to the doorway to take a look. Once there, I saw the Duke and his men running to and fro.
Can anyone vouch for your alibi?
My alibi? Yes, of course. The toy merchant, she was here last night helping me with my leg, but she was missing some parts, so she couldn't finish the job. You don't suspect that I was the Phantom on top of the dome, surely? How could I possibly climb up there with a leg like this?
True. It would be nearly impossible for this man to climb on top of the dome, much less walk on it. Besides, he wouldn't be alive and talking to me right now if he was shot off the roof, right?
But enough of this unhappy business. Customers are rare to come by these days. Why don't I introduce you to some of my wares?
Sure, you do seem to have quite the assortment of fireworks.
I didn't know you were so fond of fireworks, Mr. Investigator.
Fireworks are one of humanity's most delicate and most dangerous inventions, don't you know? Their production depends entirely on the utmost balance and precision, and
I knew you were a fellow enthusiast the moment I saw you. It's true, the smallest of errors could lead to the difference between a magnificent display or a dangerous disappointment. I also have all kinds of materials and devices for making one's own fireworks for sale. For example, here is the structural blueprint for a fireworks launching mechanism. The powder formula is a secret, of course, but these are the calculations for the ignition fuse, and these are the instructions for making pyrotechnic stars.
These fireworks appear to be empty. Don't any of them have gunpowder inside?
We have everything for fireworks here, everything except gunpowder. It's all because of Duke White Raven and his ban on fireworks in the Crystal Palace. You see, the Duke has a very negative impression of fireworks and see them as nothing more than a hazard. From the beginning, he has demanded that I only keep the blank shells on my shelves.
That is to say, all of your products are completely empty inside? None of these fireworks look like the broken firework we found earlier. Fire Guy. That's an interesting name for a shop. Could it be a reference to Guy Fawkes, by any chance?
Indeed, it is. Guy Fawkes, the man who conspired to blow up all of Parliament using barrels of gunpowder. Remember, the 5th of November. Everyone enjoys celebrating Guy Fawkes Night by setting off fireworks. See, I even keep a Guy Fawkes mask on me wherever I go. Fun, right?
This poster is awfully familiar.
Do you recognize it? It's from the fireworks show held in honor of the very first World Expo.
Yes, I recall seeing it in an old copy of Punch.
Oh, how I wish I could go back to that time and witness that wonderful fireworks display for myself. It's a regret that has nevertheless spurred me onward, day by day. And now, I have the distinct honor of having my very own fireworks shop here in the Crystal Palace. But, if only.
There's an odd string of handwritten numbers here on this poster. 21532152. Do these mean anything?
Ah, yes, I wrote those numbers. A small reminder to myself, but one you needn't worry about.
What is this room here?
A storeroom, one that the Duke himself keeps under lock and key.
The Duke keeps something stored in your shop? What could it be, I wonder?
Just some useless, old things. Nothing important, really.
There are no clues here.
Just a bunch of empty shells on display here. Nothing fun about that.
One more thing, if you have the time, Mr. Guy.
Sure thing, ask away.
Could you please tell me if this is one of your products?
Why, this is absolutely one of my shop's fireworks. But there is still residual gunpowder in this one. It's been ignited already.
It was found on the dome.
The dome, you say? Judging by its shape, It appears to be one of the models I intended to use for today's exhibition, but the entire batch was locked away in that storeroom by Duke White Raven.
So there are more fireworks just like this inside the storeroom?
Indeed, right behind that door there. My last batch was locked away by the Duke for safety reasons and has been kept in that room since then. The firework you brought me is from that very same batch.
Aside from you, were there any others who came in contact with these fireworks before they had been locked away?
The Amethyst Duchess, the owner of the jewelry store. We were discussing the addition of a fireworks show to her exhibition, and I showed her my latest batch at the time. And, of course, the Duke himself, who came sniffing around my shop afterward and locked my fireworks away. There was one more, the toy merchant. I gave her some of my fireworks for developing a new toy.
That's it, then. Nobody else? Did you ever manage to hide any before they were locked away? Or maybe unlock the storeroom while no one was looking?
Shh! Don't say things like that. I have not, and would not, do anything of the sort. The Duke is a very paranoid man. If he even suspected me of doing that, he would close down my shop and kick me out, truth or not.
I should ask these three about these broken firework.
Do you honestly think Fireworks Guy is the Phantom?
With his leg the way it is, I believe Mr. Guy could never be quite as agile as our elusive suspect.
He's quite stubborn despite his cheery demeanor, isn't he? The Crystal Palace's glory days are long gone. Who would still want to come here to see a fireworks show? But opening a fireworks shop here is one of his greatest ambitions. Duke White Raven's control of the Crystal Palace is absolute. To expect his support without offering money or something that adds value to the Crystal Palace is completely out of the question. New and strange creations, artisan crafts, cutting-edge marvels of technology. These were the things that drew people to the Crystal Palace. But under the Duke's oppressive reign, who knows how many opportunities have been stifled? How many geniuses have been turned away from greatness? Just look at that manuscript for a perpetual motion engine. It seems to have posed a great and terrible threat to them.
It's true. The words in this manuscript are quite immature, naive delusions of grandeur written by mere children.
Oh, and how are you so certain that they're nothing more than delusions?
We should return to the investigation. That was close. I almost gave away my secret. Mr. Guy mentioned that the toy merchant was given some of his fireworks, right? Let's go ask her. Good day, miss. I am an investigator in charge of phantom sightings reported in the Crystal Palace.
Hello, and welcome to Fun in a Box. You know, you may just be my very last customers here.
She is novelties. The waste bag is full of all kinds of parts.
My apologies, but as you can see, I'm very busy moving my toy shop.
Why are you moving?
My toys are not exactly what you would call popular. Many of my customers believe them to be too dangerous. I thought opening a toy shop in the famous Crystal Palace would be a smashing success, that my wares would be made available to a wider, more open-minded audience. But now, the Crystal Palace is in such a state of decline, and the few people that visit have no interest in my toys. As far as most folks are concerned, toys are meant to be nothing more than puppets or small playthings. But in my eyes, a toy can be so much more. It can be the first source of a person's imagination or even their lifelong companion. All kinds of interesting thoughts and inventions were born from playing and having fun. So sorry, I got a bit carried away there.
I'm sorry to hear that, but you are absolutely right. The tools and gadgets I invented for my supernatural investigations were all made out of my own interest.
They are interesting, indeed, especially the way you fiddle with them. Wait, it just occurred to me. Your inventions are almost as ludicrous as that perpetual motion engine mentioned in the manuscript.
Laugh all you want, but the first person to draw up schematics for a perpetual motion engine was none other than Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, so the idea was originally da Vinci's, was it? And how exactly do you know that?
Like I said, I build things out of interest, that's all. I come across it a long time ago while studying something else. I almost gave myself away again.
I just quietly watching you pretend to force. I bet Paranormal Detective is my childhood pen pal. Beware, the mischievous lass could pick the lock to your dispirited heart, and let out all sorts of whimsical ideas. The World Expo led the world into a new era of industrial and cultural progress. But now, everyone is so busy pursuing efficiency and cost-effectiveness that they've forgotten even the simplest of life's pleasures, as well as the value of innovation and change.
Ms. Lockhart, could we please focus on the investigation at hand? I'd like to confirm something. Were you helping Fireworks Guy repair his prosthetic leg last night?
Yes, I was. I helped him with some minor adjustment and went home shortly afterward.
In other words, you weren't present when the phantom appeared on top of the crystal dome last night, correct?
That's correct. I didn't know about the matter until I returned the following morning. I honestly found the news quite entertaining. Life in the Crystal Palace has been so dreary for so long.
Could you tell me how Mr. Guy's prosthetic leg was damaged?
That leg of his somewhat prone to falling apart. Guy seemed to have kept himself very busy. So busy that many of his leg's parts were worn out from the strain.
Is it serious?
Serious enough to make him lose his sense of balance, yes. Before I helped fix his leg, he was dragging it around everywhere he went, hobbling all the way.
Pardon me, but have you seen these springs and screws before? And have you seen this kind of fireworks before?
Yes, I've used them in my products before. Isn't this one of Guy's models? Let me see. Yes, he gave me 2 of these before so that I could develop one of my newest toys.
Do you still have them?
No, I'm afraid I've already used them. I wanted to design a toy that could fly using a miniature rocket, but my prototype was a failure. Also, my customers are not particularly fond of toys that involve gunpowder.
What a pity. May I take a look at those products?
I'm afraid all of my products are already in transit to another location. You see, I'm in the process of closing up shop for the last 2 days. Wait, there are still 2 prototypes that I have yet to ship. They should be right outside the shop.
You mean these? A springboard and a pair of wings?
Yes, the springboard is actually a catapult, one that is designed to launch the user into the air. The wings, on the other hand, allow the user to glide through the air with ease. When did these get damaged? I must have accidentally stacked something heavy on top of them. Although it looks like the catapult is still operational.
Gliding wings and a catapult? These inventions of yours are quite interesting, I must say.
Ahem, Mr. Investigator, could you please focus on the investigation at hand?
The concepts aren't exactly new, but I was able to make them such easier to use with the proper modifications. These 2 products were supposed to be made available to the general public, but I had no idea people could still be so apprehensive about toys. The few people who tested out my toys swore never to fly again, even though the trials were mostly successful.
This glider, so the catapult is still operational? I must learn more about these toy. Glider. That's it. The phantom didn't fly away, it glided away. Tell me, miss, what are the physical limitations for this glider's use?
Well, for an average adult male, the glider must be deployed from a height of at least 20 meters to ensure a safe landing. Naturally, for someone who is half that weight, a distance of roughly 10 meters should more than suffice.
If someone were to jump from the 4th floor of the Crystal Palace's left corridor, would they be able to land safely with this glider?
I'm not entirely sure, but with the glider broken, I'm afraid we have no way of trying it out.
Could you please tell me how high this catapult can launch a person?
It can launch an adult roughly 10 to 15 meters in the air if used properly. Naturally, the height is also affected by the launch angle and the user's weight. The lighter the weight, the higher the ejection. The flatter the ejection angle, the lower the height.
The lighter the user, the higher they go. I see. Thank you for your time, miss. What are you doing, Ms. Lockhart?
Just leaving her a few words of encouragement, that's all.
Words of encouragement? Why didn't you just tell her while we were in the shop?
She's completely lost hope in this place. I felt as though telling her now wouldn't mean much. When she moves to a new place and finds my message, I hope it gives her a little more confidence in her inventions. With enough time and determination, I'm certain she'll find success someday.
You're quite the idealist, Ms. Lockhart. But if her products and ideas find no place in the public's eye, I'm afraid she won't make much progress. Blindly following your dreams without considering reality only makes for more frustration down the road.
I refuse to believe that. Just look at where we are right now. Do you think Joseph Paxton, the man who designed the Crystal Palace, ever gave up on his dreams to build this place?
Joseph Paxton?
Constructing a building entirely out of glass and steel, one that was several times larger than St. Paul's Cathedral. It was a fool's errand, one that everyone believed to be impossible. Everyone except Joseph Paxton. He never gave up on his dream and perfected every tiny detail until it was finally approved by the royal family. But don't think for a second that the process went smoothly. Quite the opposite. In fact, Paxton had to install 300,000 panels of thick glass and 5,000 steel beams on 74,000 square meters of land, all within a period of just 6 months. Oh, And did I mention that horses were still the main source of labor and transportation at that time? Every single tool and piece of equipment, from the machines that lifted the building's dome to the carts that moved construction materials, were all designed by Paxton himself. His work has inspired an entire generation of artisans and inventors.
She's right. I'm one of them, as well. You seem to know much about the Crystal Palace, Ms. Lockhart.
Everything I know I learned from my father.
Your father?
That's right. My father was my Joseph Paxton, my greatest influence.
Ms. Lockhart, is something on your mind?
These toys remind me of my father. He was quite skillful when it came to crafts and made me manner of toys when I was little.
Can you tell me about your father?
He was a very willful person, even stubborn at times. He would work on his projects for days on end, never stopping to rest or even sleep.
Where is he now?
He passed away some time ago. It's ironic, but he kept himself so busy that he didn't live long enough to see his dream realized. Now, all that remains is his unfinished work.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Why should you be sorry? He never gave up pursuing his dream, and he never doubted himself or his creations. And that includes me. I know that someday, I'll finish his work in his stead.
I'd really like to see what you two may accomplish through your combined efforts.
And I'll be sure to show you when that day comes.
Mr. Guy said that aside the toy merchant, 2 others had been given his fireworks, Duke White Raven, and the Amethyst Duchess. But who exactly is the Amethyst Duchess?
The Amethyst Duchess is the host of this afternoon's exhibition. She sells jewelry here in the Crystal Palace, and her store is on the 4th floor of the left corridor.
As for Duke White Raven, he's the one who has forbidden the use of fireworks inside the Crystal Palace in the first place. Would he really act against his own interests?
If it's him we're talking about, I wouldn't put it past him.
Do you know where the Duke's office is located?
It's there, on the 3rd floor to the right.